So China banned honking, and this is quite interesting.
Amazing viewer, I'm back again with another compilation. I came across these clips on my For You page on TikTok, and they could be proving the censorship that you've been hearing about China. So we're going to watch these clips together and let me know what you think about them. Is this right?
So I got a message yesterday from the officials telling me to be quiet. Why? So in the recent 2 days, there is the college entrance examination in China. China takes it very, very serious. I lived here for 15 years. Every year, the college entrance examination gets a lot of attention. I know it goes like this in every country, but in China here is really different. So I get messages on my phone from the officials telling me like this. So this message is sent to every person in China, just telling them that the exam is going to be coming in these 2 days. So stop your noisy activities, especially if you're driving a car. As you see, there's a road next to me. You won't hear the horns of the cars. They're telling you try your best not to press the horns. Also, like if you're doing house decorations, there is partying. You won't hear any noises during these 2 days. Also, the traffic will be controlled very well in order to guarantee the students' safety and smooth arriving to the examination places. Also, it gets a lot of trends on the internet. It has to do, of course, with the population of China, but they really cherish study to another level, like you cannot imagine. What I learned here during my life in China is to not just to work hard, is to work extra hard. Chinese people work like ants in a positive way, of course, towards one goal to reach it. So that's why China is developing very fast in all kind of aspects. And you gotta respect that. I think we all must learn from this experiences. Let's wish together for the students to successfully pass the exam with the marks that they want. So if you want to use Chinese and say Gaokao, 加油, okay? So again, Gaokao, 加油.
So China banned honking, and this is quite interesting, so stay with me, guys. So I was talking to my wife this morning. We're in the taxi, and we were discussing this, and she just checked with the taxi driver, and that's absolutely true. So very interesting. And now the question is, are people actually obeying it? Nope. Somebody just honked a little bit. But overall, there's quite some traffic out there. And I would say most people will not honk. So it's quieter than it is on a typical day. But it's just funny that they sent out that notice just because of the standardized testing for schools. So hopefully this was helpful. Shows you a little honk and a side of China you wouldn't otherwise see or hear. Cheers.
Here's camera. Here's camera. 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 Yes, China have camera everywhere. But when I say everywhere, it means on the street, in the public area. It's not at my place. It's not in my bedroom. And of course, we won't accept camera in our private place, and that's not happening in China. I'm pretty sure there are CCTV or camera on the street in your country also, no? So to me, it's a yes or no question. It's not the problem of you have 1 camera or 10 camera on the street.
People outside of China flip out at the mention of surveillance cameras in China, but you know who's not losing sleep over them? People in China. Study after study has shown that people here are in favor of public security cameras, especially women, people with more education and long-term urbanites, because they're seen as a way to keep social stability and personal safety. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that I just realized that Chinese travelers are using these CCTV cameras to take vacation photos because a lot of them are publicly accessible and have live feeds, especially at scenic spots and tourist areas. The screenshots might be a little bit grainy, a little bit zoomed out, but they're a fun, quirky, unusual souvenir that is growing in popularity. The hardest part of it all is to find the right spot where the cameras are pointing, and I did a bit of digging. The closest feed to me is 130 kilometers away, and so I was thinking, should I do it? If this video gets, I don't know, 14.5K. We'll go on a little adventure, so let me know.
Do you want to know why Bitcoin is banned in China? It's because it's a scam. It's like a biggest scam there is. The idea is great, the tech is great, but we just use it to scam each other. Like it's like the biggest pyramid scheme, and we're all in it together. That's weird.
China did not ban Google or Facebook. Rather, companies like Meta and Google chose not to operate in China because they refuse to comply with the government's regulations. China has clear internet laws. These laws protect people and stop fake news. If websites spread lies or bad content, they break the law. While foreign companies left, companies like Google and Meta choose not to follow China's rules. They didn't accept responsibility for false content. Like 3 million homeless in China, it's a lie. Rules are fair for everyone. Media must check facts before sharing news. Spreading lies online is a crime. Every social media user must tell the truth. Other countries do this too. The US and Europe has removed harmful online content. China's rules keep the internet safe, like traffic laws keep roads safe.
Republic of China doesn't like Bitcoin. Well, we should be asking ourselves, why is that? Why is our biggest adversary such an opponent of Bitcoin? And if the Communist Republic of China is leaning away from Bitcoin, then maybe the United States ought to be leaning into Bitcoin. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing.
We likes education. Why is that? If China likes education, we're going to cut education funding. Let's start with Harvard. We love peace. Why is that? If China loves peace, we're going to start more wars. We don't like drugs. Why is that? If China doesn't like drugs, we're gonna embrace drugs. We like developing high technology. We don't support the independence of Texas.
Allow me to give my 2 cents here concerning the censorship. I don't want to call it censorship, but I will call it order from what I've observed. Because there's no country that can function without order. So every country has rules that they operate under. And yeah, especially a country that is advanced anyway, like China, you know. And the problem comes when the Western tries to understand why is that China does things differently. Why is that what we embrace they reject, what we reject they embrace, what like you get. So they have been trying to understand, and what they don't understand, they try to find narratives that will try to give an explanation for what I think they make their own hypotheses and make them news, you know, which translates into propaganda. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading right here. So anyway, if there is what should I say? If there is censorship in China, then anyway, maybe it's not public.
China's university entrance examination is happening at the moment, and it is the most important examination anyone can have for any Chinese people. If you don't know, the way people get into universities in China is very different from how the rest of the world works. You don't really need recommendations, you don't need to write an essay, you don't need to do anything. You just need to take examinations, and your total score will decide if you can get into a certain school. In China, we have 2 main categories in high school. We have science and we have literature. Or maybe philosophy is a better way to interpret it. And among all the universities in China, we have 3 main categories: Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. We love to put things into tiers. Usually the top tier universities only give certain provinces certain amount of slots for your students. Using my own experience as an example, the year I was attending the university entrance examination, there's roughly 400,000 students taking an exam at the same day in my province. That's only one province. Among the 400,000 students, you have to be top 20,000 or even 10,000 to get into Tier 1 universities. If you want to get into the top 2 universities, you need to at least be top 100 out of 400,000. I am not good enough to be top 100, but I am top 3,000, so I was able to go to a pretty good school in Shanghai. You can imagine how fierce the competition is among all the students to get into a good school. Oh, actually, I pay less than £5,000. Yes, it is the death penalty, and they're not coming for the users of the drugs, they're coming for the drug dealers. So if you deal drugs in China or have a certain amount of drugs, you're going to get the death penalty. No questions asked, straight to jail, straight to death, boom, boom, boom. Welcome to China.
No, these Chinese students are not possessed. They're just cramming for the Gaokao, known as one of the hardest exams in the world that's happening this month in China. From students basically living inside their classrooms to having meals being passed through school gates, such apocalyptic-like scenes are a norm in China during this period. In some schools, 12-hour study days are the standard. Some students may get just one day off a week, and many still show up on that day to study more. Some students go to the extreme, using IV drips to help them concentrate. Yeah, IV drips. And some female students also take pills to delay their periods until exams are over. During the Gaokao period, roads are cleared and construction near exam halls are put on hold to not disturb the students. Taxi drivers even offer free rides to Gaokao examinees. But what is Gaokao and why is it such a big deal in China? Basically, it's like A-levels, Poly GPA, and IB all rolled into one ultra high-stakes exam that determines your entire future. Not only are the questions tough, but the competition is brutal, with over 13 million students registered this year, but only about 5% will make it into the country's top universities. Gaokao factories have even become a phenomenon, with some high schools resembling military-style camps, pushing students through intense curriculums and strict discipline to prepare for the exam, while the entire town's economy revolves around supporting the schools. The pressure is so intense, so next time you're dreading an exam, just be glad it's not this one.
So I've done this video before. In China, universities are very affordable. Usually normal majors, it costs around 6,000 RMB at the moment, 6,000 to 8,000 RMB, depends on what type of courses you're taking. Of course, there are majors that are more expensive, like if you're studying art. If we're talking about college tuition alone, 4 years is going to be like 30,000 to 40,000. If you still don't have the money for school, there are scholarships, there are benefits and funds you can apply to go to school. You can also get a student loan, but for that amount of money, it's very easy to pay back. I'm not gonna lie, if your family doesn't help you, it's still going to be quite difficult for you to go through 4 years of university. However, like in Shanghai, the average salary college graduate or university graduate gets is around 4,400 per month. And it's quite common to get around 10,000, 12,000 a month after you worked for a few years. If you're financially responsible and you're try to save money, it's quite easy to pay back the student loan. But most Chinese families would pay for their children's education.